like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel, where once again it's time for another issue of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol. Today it's issue number 13, which sees us get the second sprue for our Terminator squad and the bases. So if you made the 3 that you could make last week, you can simply put them straight in their bases before making the final 2 this week. And it says this magazine is going to cover deploying the Terminators, the Silver Templars return, and special abilities. Turning over then, and obviously last week's magazine showed us how to build the Terminator, so it makes sense that this week's issue tells us how to paint them, going over your base coats with Macragga blue and Abaddon black, before going on to all your little bits of detail with the Retributor armor, Lead Belcher, Corax white. Before we go on to our first piece of reading material this week, this is Section B, Space Marines number 8, creating a Space Marine. Beneath their armor, a Space Marine is a superhuman warrior whose body has been enhanced through advanced gene craft. Turning over then, I should say. Hopefully I read it better than this week than last week, because I made so many mistakes when I was talking last week and I have absolutely no idea why. It says we've got selecting candidates, superhuman physiology, and then Bonds of Honor Part 3 is the next piece of reading material. This is Section E, Silver Templars Part 3. Turning over then, that carries on before we go on to the naming our Terminator squad page. Like I've said, these pages are in here for all the units that you get within the collection. Turning over then, like always, it shows us our data sheet for the Terminators, telling you about all of their ratings and all of their abilities. Before we go on to special rules, leaders, units that are leaders. So far you've received 2 leaders, the Space Marine, Librarian and Captain. These units and any future leaders you receive have the leader keyword at the bottom of their datasheet. Leaders generally work best when paired with a unit compared to deadly solo characters such as the Tyrannid Prime. Turning over then, it gives us examples of the Veils of Time, the Unstoppable Valor, and attacking a unit with a leader. And turning over, it tells us about stealth and fights first. It says fight phase, fights first, and then remaining combat. Before we go on to scenario number 9, the burden of command. A large Tyrannid force is gathered, but the Space Marines are stretched thin. It falls to the veterans of the First Company and their Terminator armored commanders to break the swarm and secure some vital operational breathing room for their comrades. And it shows you at the bottom of the page, you've got an objective marker, 2 lots of Space Marines in Zone 1 and Zone 2. Then you've got the Von Ryan's Leapers, the Winged Tyrannid Prime, the Barb Gaunts, and the Termagants. And like always, it breaks it down, I should say, turn by turn. Tyrannid's turn first, command phase, movement phase, shooting phase, charging phase, and then they fight. And it gives you an example of moving and shooting on the next page. Before we turn over, and it's the Space Marines' turn, command phase, move, shoot, charge, and then the fighting phase at the bottom. And it tells you an example of moving and shooting and charging and fighting. Before we go on to the final page, where we have our little bit of storyline material, as always, which tells you the outcome if it's a Space Marine victory or a Tyrannid's victory. Turning over then, we see our next 2 issues. Issue number 14 comes with 2 new paints, and issue number 15 comes with the relatively impressive model, the Tyrannid Psychophage. If you go to the Warhammer website and buy one of these, I think they're over £30, but I think because they're in a box set, you can easily go on eBay and find them for around about £10. But either way, it is quite an impressive looking model, so I am looking forward to getting that one in issue number 15. That is it for this week. Issue number 13 out of the way. Let me know your thoughts on the Terminators and which models you're looking forward to getting in the coming weeks. And like always, I'll be back with another review of the next issue next week. Goodbye for now.